questions to ask throughout a campaign with the confidence rising. I told JC, Nate and Rich that good times are coming on E for deep diving. Van Cam's reactions, watch along to the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South stay flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Yes, everyone, back again with another Football Dreams Academy review, and this is for episode 4. Disclaimer: when we talk about what happened in episode 4, we at Eagle Eye Football are not saying, like, we're not putting our way out and saying, listen, this is how parents should parent their kids or anything of the manner. We're just sharing our opinions on what we saw and what we witnessed. Because, yeah, we're not trying to raise anyone's child for them. But, Nate, how you doing, my guy?
Yeah, man, all good. Just watched it there this morning because I missed it when it was broadcast, so I could flick through all the ads on Channel 4, so that was helpful. But I'm good.
You're good, JC?
You know exactly how I'm feeling right now, so it is what it is.
Why am I feeling better than you? And yesterday I did the chip.
Because I thought I'd play FIFA, and I thought I'd boost my ego and have a proper career mode, and then spend loads of money and get loads of players that I want, and then before I know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh man. Listen, people, if you haven't seen the one chip challenge stream from yesterday, it would either be on the eye or it will be at the end in the end cards and stuff. So make sure you check that out. And also going to hopefully get some clips from various people, and we'll do like a one chip challenge highlight little video as well. So but yeah, you're not here for that. Well, some of you maybe. We're here for the review of episode 4. Now, let's start with Shy. Shy, 10 years old, living with obviously both his parents, but his dad is the most invested piece of the puzzle regarding his footballing career. Started grassroots football at the age of 4, you know. And what was interesting as well is, like, he lives in East London, so he's not going to his local club in like West Ham or maybe the Leyton Orients and such, or even Dagenham and Redbridge. It's a 3-hour round trip to the academy, which shows a level of commitment and dedication, and which kind of leads me nicely onto his dad, because bless him, he's very invested in the son, hence the 3-hour round trips. He's a very interesting character, though. Nate, your thoughts on Mo?
I mean, like you say, we're not trying to, judge parents on how they raise their kids and whatever. And look, as we've seen throughout this documentary, a lot of parents, they're both emotionally and financially invested in their children's futures. So they want it more than the kids, arguably at some points. But naturally, documentaries like this have a habit of not really painting the parent in the best light at first.
That's a good point.
Because they have to capture the element of, like, we've seen it with the whole soccer mom trope in America, where the mothers of the kids are constantly trying to coach, despite the fact there's a coach there for the team. And it's hard for parents to take a step back and just let the coaches do their thing, because when, as Mo said, he's been invested in this from grassroots level. It's been him at the start, and he doesn't want to drop off and feel like he's being replaced or his role is diminishing in terms of helping his son develop as a footballer. But then there comes to the other side of it, where when you get to academy level, the clubs have coaches in place for a reason. And obviously we've seen, I believe his coach was Gassau, who used to play for us, actually. He came to our academy. So knowing that we have someone at the academy who came through the academy and knows the journey that he's going on, it was irritating at the start to see Mo's behavior and his habits and what he was doing, and how what he was doing had an impact on how his son performed at training. But that's part of what happens at that level. A lot of parents don't realize they're not there as coaches, they're there as parents. But it's hard for them to take that step back. We've seen it with Wes in the last episode. And he had that light bulb moment where he realized, okay, do you know what? I can still be there for my son, but I don't have to be the coach. Well, I'm not the coach. I'm just his dad. So as the episode progresses, we begin to see that Mo kind of, he has a bit of a one-to-one with the coaches, and they tell him, listen, we like that you're involved, but you're too involved in too many aspects. And he realizes that and acknowledges that. It's not a case of he's trying to be oblivious and say, oh, no, you're talking out the backside of your neck. He's like, no, that's fair. I need to take a step back. Obviously, he makes a promise. And yeah, it lasted as much about as a Milky Bar on a hot summer's day. That's the best way I could put it. But look, he tried, God love him. And look, as I said, parents are emotionally and financially invested. It's hard for them to find that balance. And even if they do, that balance is never necessarily equal. It's always going to lean to one side of the tilt or the other. So that's the best way I can put it. But I liked Mo. Certain things I was like, yeah, okay. But for the most part, look, these parents, it means everything to them because they want their sons to do well. So you have to understand that they're going through a lot, as are their boys. That's what I would say.
Yeah. On top of that, JC, obviously, like I said, he's doing a 3-hour round trip and such, but then he's also paying for extra training sessions to gain an edge over for Shad to get an edge over his teammates and such. And we saw this as well with Wes, to be fair, as well. So, do you think that is a benefit or a hindrance to a child's development and progress, especially at such a young age?
I think the coach summed it up well when he was talking to his dad, that your son needs to be a kid. Like, he needs time to do what kids do, go to the park with his friends. And I would say the best thing for someone's development when they're that young, I'd say, is just playing football for fun. That's what in my opinion, I feel like is the best way of developing someone and developing their skills. I was never only good at football myself when I was younger, but I only ever played for fun. I never played because I thought I was going to be a pro footballer. I just thought it was a fun game to play. But obviously, it's a competition, isn't it? All the kids are saying their kid is in competition with another kid, and then they're also in competition with another team. Like when they played against, did he play against West Ham, or was that one of the other kids? But I can't remember exactly. But it's one big competition, and you're on your own. You have to fight it out on your own. And I'm guessing the extra training sessions in his mind is a good idea because he can get the edge. He's got more of a chance of getting that contract into the year above and then the 2 years above, etc., etc. It's worth it in that sense, but do you want to ruin his childhood for it? I don't know. That's probably a sacrifice you'd like to take.
Yeah, and just on that as well, like it kind of like, and this is obviously at the start of it, where you kind of find out Mo's motives as well, because one of the first things he said is that he wants Shai to be the first British Asian English footballer, which you're just thinking, surely you just want him to be a footballer first, the demographics come after, but to be so specific about the needs, it's kind of like, are you seeing dollar signs like in the future? Because that's going to be publicity. It just seems like the motive weren't. It's like,
Well, yeah, he said he had his three mantras at his home was like God, prayer, and football. So that just shows how deeply engraved football is into that whole family.
Yeah,
that how much he wants it for his kid, and at such a young age, you can't comprehend that that's the amount of effort that they're putting into you. You're just thinking, oh, I'm just getting to play football all the time. But you don't know at that age, you don't understand that I wouldn't say they're putting their life savings into you, but they're putting a hell of a lot of money into your development.
No, absolutely spot on. But you know what? As Nate said earlier, like the coaches, they identified that quick. I think it was during the game, actually. He was just, I can't remember they were playing, but it was outside, and he was just constantly bellowing instructions. Why are you going there? Why are you not doing this? Track back. Come on. Intensity. It was just like overload, and the coaches were just like, hold on a second. No, he needs to stop. And they pulled him in. he pulled him in and stuff. And you know what I did like about what Mo did, like he, as much as it seems like he didn't listen, because obviously he found it very difficult to kind of keep a distance. He did understand. He did understand like the reasoning behind everything and why he had to just calm it down a bit, you know. And bless him, like I think for me that was the funniest part of the episode, where it's like, you know what, I'm not even gonna go watch that. I'm gonna stay in the car. I'm gonna leave him to do what he's doing. And so, but funny enough, they panned back to Shy, and Shy was balling out. He was playing so well. And then it's like, nah, I gotta go see. I gotta see what's happening there and stuff. And that was all of like 5 minutes. All of 5 minutes. So no, I think Shy's gonna be in good stead, as long as obviously his dad Mo keeps grounded. Not to say that he shouldn't keep the ambition and the fire burning for Shy. Because you know what? Just seeing those clips with the one-to-one coach, Shy's got footwork. He's got decent footwork for someone so young. So yeah, I guess we just have to wish him all the best. Wish him all the best. Moving on. Yeah, we'll leave Caleb and Saffron to last. I think that's the biggest talking point. Alicia is the mother of 10-year-old Leighton. Now, Alicia is a mum, obviously a PE teacher and part-time coach. And I guess with both Alicia and Saffron, I don't think it was mentioned, and I don't know if there was any indication whether they were single mums, but they were obviously very invested in their son's football, you know. So I don't want to assume that they're single parents. But obviously, like, there was no like sort of nothing was said about it. So they're literally effectively there's the single parent, the parent going out and chasing and helping their son achieve their dreams. Now, Leighton actually openly admitted, you know, to not liking his mum Alicia being vocal on the sideline, you know, but he understood that she was being supportive. Now, once you, again, Jake, because obviously you mentioned fun, for someone so young to actually identify and highlight, listen, mum, what you're doing ain't helping. It shows a lot of awareness, to be fair. What's your thoughts?
I think it's cool, because I work in a school full of kids with the same kind of problems that he has, because he has ADHD, and I think when you have that, I don't know what you call it. If you have ADHD, you're sort of forced to notice more things than another kid normally does. So you sort of notice when stuff is annoying you, and you have to know how to cope, how to deal with it, and then you have to try and find out how to keep your attention high, and you have to notice and identify the things that are upsetting you and not helping you. So I think for him, it's just showing that how good his mum has been to him, and how she understands everything that's going on with him, and how she's dealing with him at home as well as on the pitch. But obviously, it will get to the mum. I think it will get to all of us if certain things are being said about your son, but we'll get onto that later. And if you're investing in it with your own finances, and as you said, we don't know if they're single mums, but we don't want to assume that. But if she is putting in only her own money, she has to also pay for the house, electricity, car, everything. So it's a big contribution for your kid's future, really. Yeah. And I think for him to notify the mum and say, look, mum, I know it's all coming from a good place, but it's not helping right now. And when his mum did what he said, you saw it when the coaches were giving him the roundup at the end, that when he puts his mind to it, I can't remember what was he, a right back, left back, but he was a fullback of some sort. Yeah. And they said his best attributes are pace, power, passing, shooting, and you're thinking all that from just like one little tiny change. Like, you don't know what he can do in the future if he keeps developing at the academy. He's got his contract, and the coaches see him every day, so they've probably got the best gauge on what he can do in the future.
No, absolutely. We just checking. Nate, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Yeah. Thoughts on Leighton and his like playing style, and obviously the fact that he has ADHD as well.
I mean, obviously they highlighted it for a reason because one of the parents, as we'll get into, as JC said, wasn't particularly happy. Tried to refer to the team her son was in as the B team, but at that kind of level, there's no such thing as A team, B team, any of that foolishness. So that kind of shows you that some parents want it a bit too much and a bit too badly. But he smashed it, and there were elements where you could hear Gus Sal was telling him, he was trying to teach him about, drop back, defend, all that sort of, because I think he plays at centre back, but can play as a fullback as well. As they said in the episode, when he puts his mind to it, he smashes it. But it's keeping him in that mind frame of, right, it's game day or it's training and I have to be at that level. But he recognized that. It wasn't like he was oblivious to it and just figured that, oh, it's not going my way, I can't be bothered. He was like, no, when I'm on it, I'm on it. But when I'm not on it, I can do it, but it's not as good as I know it can be. So to see him go from strength to strength once Alicia took somewhat of a back seat was a testament to her, because obviously, as I said before with Mo, it's hard for parents who are so invested both financially and emotionally to step back because they can't do it. There's so much riding on it for them and their families that I think it was alluded to that both Alicia and the other mum are single mums. I don't know how true it is, but that's the illusion that was the conclusion that I came to. But again, if it's a single parent scenario, the pressure is on that one parent to be able to afford boots, as we said in the first episode, where the mum said she had to spend £160 on boots. So you look at gas, electric, food, car, academy, training, all of this. It's just, it was really good to see that he took to the input the coaches gave him. And come the end of it, bless him, he was so happy. He said, I don't know how I feel, but I can't stop smiling. It was like, these kids, man. But, it's just heartwarming to see that a lot of these kids, they're just kids, but the parents don't see them as kids. They see them as pro footballers, but they're not. They're still at a young, tender age where development is key. Performances and goals and assists and all of this, that comes later on. Right now, it's about, okay, do you know what? This area of their game, they need to have it worked on. This area of their game, they're smashing it out the park. And you heard that. They were saying to one or two of them, you're scoring a lot of goals, but not necessarily as many as you should. And that kind of feedback is pivotal at that young age, because that's something for them to work on and go, do you know what? Decision-making, and if you're an attacking player, final third, shoot on your left foot, shoot on your left foot, shoot on your left foot. Some players are very one-footed. I was guilty of that when I was a kid. I was a very right-footed player. I couldn't play with my left foot because I never put the effort in to work on my left foot because I was more comfortable on my right foot. But so to see these young kids are conscious that, their parents are there for them and it's great, but also it's a bit of a hindrance because the pressure that they get from their parents affects their performance in training and in games. So, but it was good to see. And, I'm delighted for him.
No, absolutely. And, for me, it was nice to see his journey as well. Like, because obviously when things weren't going well, you could sense his frustration. He was like, the arms go up. It's, he gets very annoyed and such. But you know what? Alicia was so good at like being able to pull him to the side and have that like one-to-one and explain things and so on and so forth. And just have that positive reinforcement with him, like to the point where every time they had a conversation, he fully understood either why she had said something she might have said, or the feedback that she gave him, as well as the coaches, obviously, and stuff, which was very, very key, and because when you think about what the coaches said, they could see the potential, like especially with his pace and power, but they say that he doesn't really have much of a technical side to this game, and obviously now, like I believe it was Harry, please correct me if I'm wrong with it, in the last episode where in the Hodgson era, he would have been perfect. But now we're trying to be more ball playing. We are looking for more technical, quote unquote, players and such. And then obviously just to round up, like when he sat down and he got his feedback, even he was like, I weren't expecting it. So there was some aspects of him was thinking, I'm not making it here, you know. But he got retained as well as Shai, which was good. But he knows now, listen, I've got work to do. He's got work to do. And I'm sure obviously he and Alicia will work hard to getting that done and moving forward. So all the best to Shai, all the best to Leighton as well. Which leaves us with the main event of the morning. Caleb. Now, Caleb, I'm just chucking it out there. Caleb's a baller. He's cold. Caleb is a baller. But I think that also played a little bit of a hindrance because he's not really a team player. And stuff you can say he can dribble the ball from back to front easy and stuff. But I think obviously that side of the game he needs to work on. But the very interesting point, as Neville plays farm sounds in the background, the very interesting point to this is that they didn't focus much on Caleb. The majority of the episode was on Mum Saffron. JC, I'm going to let you start with this one. I need some thinking time on this.
Yeah, you take your thinking time and then just throw me straight into it. That's what's happening. But I think just alluding back to the disclaimer, we're not trying to tell you how to parent your kids before we start this segment. But you're not wrong for wanting your kid to succeed. You're not wrong for thinking that your kid's the best footballer that's ever lived, because I'm sure if I want my kid to play football, I'll think the exact same thing. But I think that learning to understand everything that happens at the academy before trying to bring other people down is also very important, because as the coach said when he spoke to her, that at this age there's no A and B team. It's just trying to balance the team so that everyone is challenged on each other team. So, for example, you'll put the better forward, which is probably Caleb, on this team, and then you probably put the better defender on the other team, so he's got more to work towards when he's playing the game, and he's got more challenge on himself. And there's no reason why there is no A and B team. It's just balance so that there'll be a better game at the end of the training session, I'm guessing. But yeah, I think Caleb is very good, very technically good, and as you said, that's what Vieira's looking for throughout the academy, and he probably fits the bill perfectly. So with that, and his ability of playing ball is undeniable. Obviously, the parents are going to get gas. They're going to think, they're going to reiterate that with positive reinforcement. Yes, my kid is the best, but because of that slight lack of understanding, they think it's A and B team and think that they're not treating her kid fairly. And I think that's probably where she was coming from when trying to say that he's getting upset because he's put with a slightly worse off players in the group. But that's not the case.
No, absolutely. And I mean, Saffron actually took it to a point where she did spoke to an academy scout about it, because of like the disdain. It's like, wait, why is it A and B sort of thing, like you said, which wasn't the case. But I think where it became a problem is where she kind of then started name dropping, in the sense of was like, why is Kayla playing with A and B? Which obviously, like, the kids, and I mean, Alicia went to the coach and was like, listen, why is she talking about my child? You know what I mean? That in itself weren't cool at all, because yes, your son's good. You just have to admit it, he's a good player. But every other player is good in their own way. there's going to be aspects where Caleb isn't so good, where someone else is, you know. So I think that's where it became a bit like, And then not only that, when Gus had it then gone to speak to her, it was like she didn't want to take the feedback. Like, it was just like raw. Like, hold on.
I think
It was like-
one part about that scene which made me laugh, but I think for all the wrong reasons, because it looked very windy and Caleb looked like he was cold, but Mum was just holding his jacket hostage. I was thinking, don't give him the jacket, bro.
But it's crazy because it's like she just wanted to keep making a point about Caleb being in the B team. You know, even though Gus was trying to say, listen, it's not about that. Like, just here to develop every player and such. And to be fair, maybe being in the B teams, sometimes the kick up the backside that a player might need to they think, oh, maybe I need to do a bit better here. Even if they don't, but at least it changes their mentality from being complacent, like where we saw in episode 1, where where I believe it was Caden, Caden or Kyra, I can't remember which kid it was from episode 1, but they were a bit too complacent, and then when they went to under 13s, they found it difficult, you know. So it's
I think it was Kyron, because Kyron was all like, I'm Mbappe, I'm Messi, I'm this, I'm that.
Kyron,
When you got to 13s, you got leveled.
It was just, it was that stay humble comment, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. So being put in and we say I put in A or B team, it doesn't necessarily mean one thing or the other. It's just an opportunity for growth, you know. Before I come to you, Nate, this was the bit that kind of like I mean, and don't get me wrong, at the end, she did like kind of like open up and say, listen, she needs to be a bit more positive and trust the coaches. But she made a comment that as a parent myself, it riled me up the wrong way. When she then stated that he's not happy at Palace. Because it made me think, is he not happy at Palace or are you not happy with Palace? You know? And maybe he's not happy because of everything that's going on behind the scenes. You know? Let him be a kid. Let him play. Nate.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I mentioned earlier with the soccer mum thing. Like some parents, as I've already mentioned, they get too invested. They can't hold back. And look, you can't fault her for wanting the best for her son, but there's ways about doing that. And to be fair to her, she did make an effort toward the end of the program to change that. So by no means am I going to think, oh, she's a bad mum. Look, she loves her son to bits. He's her only child, and she's a single mum, literally against the world because it's hard.
That's true.
You know. Yeah. And look, she's not a bad person.
No, she's not.
But obviously, as I said with Mo, these kind of documentaries, they have to paint the parents that are like this in a somewhat bad light because it makes these parents think, you know what? I'm doing a lot right, but the little things I think I'm doing right, I'm doing a lot of wrong. And it can turn on a sixpence. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't remotely think that Saffron wants to see any of the other boys not make it, but because her son is her world. When she feels that he's been aggrieved, even if there's no such thing happening, she can't help herself and feel a little bit hard done by and say, why is my son in the, for want of a better word, a B team? But I understand why she said that, but I don't necessarily like the way in which she said it because it implies that she's not prepared to see her son have to take a bit of a humbling where, as you said, Rich, the kid's got incredible technique. Like he's not afraid to dribble past 6-7 players and make an absolute nuisance of himself. But again, being a dribbler is all well and good, but if you've no end product towards the end of it, do you know what I mean? And look, we know that with a famous academy graduate, Wilfred Zaha, for years and years and years, when he was just about making the first team, it was dribble, 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 lose the ball. Dribble, 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 lose the ball. Dribble, dribble, shoot. You see the pattern there? All this dribbling that he would do, he'd only have one shot out of every third set of dribbles he'd be doing. Whereas now, Will's direct. It's literally find the space to shoot on goal, score, miss, post, keeper, crossbar, whatever. But at these young kids' age, you just want them to enjoy it. You want them to have a few knockbacks and a few lessons where, okay, you're good, but we know you can be better, and we want you to get better. And that's what the coaches are trying to get through to Saffron. But because parents who are under so much pressure to keep their kids in these academies, they want to make sure that their kid is the top of the class. And they don't care about how that affects every other child in there, because unless it's your child, you don't care. And people might say that's heartless or that's cruel, but it's ruthless. And we mentioned this in episode 1, where Bola, we wanted him to succeed, but reality is his choices and his inability to tell his coaches about his injury. They said, look, we can do something with you, but we don't know going forward if you've got what it takes, because your injury could have gotten worse and it could have stopped him playing football altogether. So you understand why Saffron said what she said, but you can't agree with it. You don't appreciate that she's saying the things that in a lot of people's eyes could be hurtful. And obviously Alicia took it personally, and rightly so. Her son was doing the best he could. In a team game, you need to be a team player. There's no I in team, not to borrow a cliche here, but I think, as I said, you could clearly see that Saffron made a vested effort towards the end to just encourage her son rather than coach her son. So, and as we've seen the previous episodes, obviously when we were at the Villa game, we got noticed. Well, I mean, I got noticed, but point is, people realize that what we're doing is we're trying to look at this and be fair to the parents, because the pressure they're under is unbelievable. So I won't lie, I didn't warm to Saffron straight away, but as it progressed and you could see she was trying to make that effort to turn things around. Understandably, she wants her son to have the best of everything. She wants her son to make it. But she and Mo were probably going about it the complete wrong way, whereas Alicia was trying desperately to just keep her son focused and grounded, as opposed to let her son think he's Haaland, Mbappe, Neymar, Zaha. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And I guess that once again, it's credit, testament to the coaches that we have down at the academy set up. They identified these things very early, because both Mo and Saffron, you saw as the episode went on, made a very, very conscious effort to adapt their means and their ways and stuff. And, it was credit to them as parents, to be able to have that shift, because it's I'm sure it's not easy at all. Your kid has this dream. You want your kid to do well, so you're going to be pumped up and invested. And it's just obviously, as Nate said, was just kind of tuning it in the right way. First, trust the coaches, trust your child, let your child be a child as well, where possible, and just don't try and bring anyone down at the same time, So now, big up Mo, big up Alicia, big up Saffron. I really hope, but obviously this was filmed from last season, so I really hope the relationship between Alicia and Saffron's improved, and they're all helping each other to become better, So yeah, I mean, I guess that wraps up episode 4.
Yeah, I think the last thing I'd probably say is that the academy, to me, it looks like it's not only developing the kids, it's developing the parents to let go a little bit more as well. So it's sort of like psychological training for both the kids and the parents, so they can both do their certain roles to do the best for their kids at the end of it.
100%. So, like I said, a massive credit to the coaches. Take your finger off there. Massive credit to the coaches, the work they do, and like I said, big up Mo, big up Alicia, big up Saffron. Keep obviously strive to have your children follow their dreams and stuff, and keep being positive as best you can in that moving forward. So yeah, people, that's episode 4. There's 6 in total, isn't there?
Yeah, that's episode 5 is next Wednesday.
Oh, it's a Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, 10 p.m. Yeah.
Interesting. All right, that's cool. I'm happy with that anyway. And such. But apart from that, guys, for Eagle Eyed Football, I did the one chip challenge. Nate and Jordan laughed at me, but it was all good. All right, peace.
Peace. Up the palace.
The palace.
Palace.